Okay, I'm going to kick off this series of videos by going over the user interface itself. I think this is an extremely important place to start, and I'll give you a metaphor as to why. I believe the power in metaphors lays in you being able to relate to either one of the things being compared. You're not super familiar with Revit, but I would imagine that you have cooked at some point in your life. So I'm going to build an analogy here for you. Revit is like a kitchen. And stay with me with this one. You walk into a kitchen and you've got to cook a meal, but you don't know where the knives are, you don't know where the pots are, you don't know where the pans are. You know how to cook spaghetti bolognese, like you've cooked it before, but that's that's at your house. You're at your friend's house now, you don't know where anything is. So it's important to know where all of your tools and all of your ingredients are, and then that's going to make the cooking process a lot smoother. Yeah, it's important to have a good grasp of what tools you have at your disposal, and it's going to make everything so much easier. So without any further ado, let's go through the user interface.
Okay, let's finally get stuck in. This screen here is like the open screen. This is the first thing that's going to pop up when you turn Revit on or open the program. You can open or create a new model or a new family, or you can open up some recently used models or families from here. For the purpose of this video, which is just going to be the user interface, we're just going to open up the residential sample project. So this is just going to be an overview, just a general overview of what is going on everywhere, because there is a lot of buttons here. First thing you want to do is take the project browser, just click and drag, and just pin it on this side of the screen over here. This is going to save you a lot of scrolling, and it just makes everything a lot easier to read. Okay, up the top here, this is the ribbon. The ribbon is made up of different, I guess you'd call them ribbons. I'd call this the architecture ribbon. I'd call this structure, insert ribbon, annotate, etc. Each of these is a collection of tools and functions with a similar purpose. So the architecture ribbon has everything to do with the actual architectural properties of the job. So there's, walls, doors, floors, modifiers for those elements. So if you're going to create a vertical opening in a roof, and a couple of other things like room areas and work planes. Generally, your kind of thought process should be, if you need to draw a wall or a door or some sort of architectural 3D element, you're probably going to head to the architecture tab. Structure is similar to the architecture tab, but it's the actual structure of the building. So beams, columns, bracing, etc. Insert is going to be if you're going to bring something into the job which is not a native Revit file. So things like DWGs, things like images. There is a big difference between linking something and importing something. I, as a general rule of thumb, never import anything into the job. I will always link, because when you import something, it can blow up the file size and make the Revit file unstable. It's happened to me before. It's not something that happens every time, but do a little reading online if you're interested in it. But the general consensus is you want to link everything. Do not import. The annotate ribbon is, as you may have guessed, all about annotations. So dimensions, text, tags, anything that's like supplementary information to the 3D components in the model. So you'll have an arrangement of walls, and you want to dimension them, and you want to call up saying, fire rated wall or sound insulation to this wall. That's everything that's going to be done in the annotate ribbon. The site ribbon is obviously everything to do with the site plan. So topo surface, that is your 3D topographical model. If you're drawing that, or perhaps you're drawing it from a linked DWG, that's going to be done through here. Site components, stuff like trees, parking islands, fire hydrants, etc. Parking components, building pads, and then some tools to help you modify topographies in here as well. Okay, the view ribbon has a strong connection to the project browser down here. So if you're going to create a new drafting view or a new section, put some new elevations in, make a new plan view, want to make a new sheet, this is all stuff that is displayed down the side here, but it's also controlled through the view ribbon as well. So if you need to change anything to do with a view, it's likely going to be either in the view ribbon itself, or it's going to be something that you can do in the project browser down the side here. The manage ribbon is to do with the project information itself. So it literally says project information there, but it's also to do with the units. So if you're drawing in millimeters or centimeters, whatever, that can be changed through here. The location of the project, the position. So if you're going to mirror the entire project, say from north to south or east to west, that's something that affects the entire project itself. That's something that you're probably going to do through here. There's also some managing things in here, and phasing as well. Phasing is something that's complicated but very important to know. And lastly, the modify ribbon is just to do with, just as you can guess, modification of whatever you've selected, whether it's like a door or filled region or whatever. It's just essentially just a collection of tools. The properties box down here. This is where anything you select, it's going to list the properties themselves. So right now it's giving you the properties of the 3D view because we don't have anything selected. It's going to default to giving you the properties of the view that you're in. But if we select a roof here, it's going to tell us that the base level is attic, it's room bounding, it has an offset of 0 feet and inches from the level. It's just a bunch of other information through here. So if you select something, you want to know a little bit more about it, or you want to change something about it, chances are it's going to be something that you can do by selecting whatever it is in the properties box. So if we change this to 6 feet, I guess this is going to be, I work in millimeters because I'm Australian, so hopefully that just goes to 6 feet. Let's go okay just for the hell of it. Yeah, cool, great. So that's moved that roof up 6 feet. The properties box is like the blurb. You can just have a click on something, and then this is going to give you a quick overview of all the information, or some of the information that you need to know. Okay, the project browser itself. This is where all of the views and sheets, also like a list of families and groups, which are loaded into the models as well. You can navigate this by pressing, expanding and collapsing with the pluses and minuses here. So, say let's expand the views. So this is all of the views. Let's expand floor plans. So we've got 4 floor plans. There's your site plan, first floor plan, basement, attic, etc. Okay, and last but not least, there is a little toolbar down the bottom here, which is actually quite important. This has things like scale, the detail level of the view, things like temporary hide and isolate. I will go through all of this and more in depth in their own videos. And second, lastly, there's another little tiny toolbar down here. You could think of it as the bottom ribbon, whatever you want. Also very important to know what these things do. I will go through that as well. And a tiny little tidbit for this, just down the bottom here. So see if I'm hovering over this wall here, if you go look, cast your eye to the very, very bottom left corner of the view or the program. It says wall basic exterior walls. That tells me what my mouse is hovering over. View, elevation, west, planting, RPC, tree. So if you're trying to select something which is a bit hard to find, so let's go to first floor plan. We'll turn wireframe mode on, which it already is for some godforsaken reason. We'll change the bottom or the view range right down, so we're going to see everything below us as well. Okay, so I can see I'm selecting a floor there. If I press tab, I'm going to go through, cycle through options of what I can choose. So that's a room, that's a floor, That's a wall. That's a chain of walls. Another chain of walls. That's another floor. Okay, so if you're ever struggling to select something, have a look down in the bottom corner there, and it'll tell you exactly what your mouse is selecting, because sometimes it's not super obvious. Okay, right up the top here, we have another little tiny toolbar which has like open, save, back, forward, print. I think that's measure between. Yes, it's like a dimensions, align dimension for some reason. There's just some random kind of tools up here. One that I really like is close inactive views. So see how we've got a bunch of sheets open here. We just click that, or a bunch of views open, click that button, and it'll collapse everything. So it's only the active view which is still open. That's really good, just to get in the habit of clicking that every now and again. So thank you for bearing with me for one of the driest topics in the world. Don't stress if you feel like I overlooked something that you were interested in. I'm planning to make an entire video about each of these components, which hopefully will go for less than 10 minutes each. But I really do believe if you've got a really strong grip on the user interface and everything in it, you'll be set up pretty well. So thanks for bearing with me, and I'll talk to you soon.